Ladies and friggin' gentlemen, it's Tuesday. It's September 14th, 2010. This is the Day 9 Daily. I'm Day 9. We're gonna learn to be a better gamer, but I'm not in a good mood. I'm feeling a little bit irritable, okay? Because tell me this hasn't happened to you, right? You, set your alarm for, 8:30, which is my case today. You set your alarm early, not necessarily because you have something you had to do early in the morning or a meeting, but because you're going to play Starcraft all day. You get up, you go for a run, you shower, you're cleaning yourself off, reviewing your strats in your head. You don't think about some silly girl that you have a crush on. No, you're thinking about Starcraft 2. Time to ladder, time to thump some nerds. Yeah. Alright, so you heard me say yesterday that I went on a little bit of a losing streak. I kind of had I definitely lost more games than I won in the morning. But after that daily, I made 150 points on the ladder. Yes, I was feeling very proud of myself. So I set my alarm for 8:30 today. I'm like, I want to continue on that glorious feeling of winning. All right, so I won one game out of 14. Oh, you can't see, but I'm clutching my stomach. Like there's a baby here that I just found out is wounded. 13 games in a row, mind you. I won the first game. I was like, won this first game, no problem. It was easy, one-sided smashing. Then I lost 13 games in a row. 13, So, sure that happens sometimes, and ordinarily, after 6 or 7 losses, I just try to give up. But one thing that I'm trying to work on is my endurance for gaming. Because I used to be able to sit down and play for 10 hours with one meal break, no problem. But now that kind of makes me tired. So I was like, no, Sean, play through it. And I don't know what you guys do to sort of mentally recoup after that. You know, a lot of times people, when they go on losing streaks, they're like, okay, no messing around. Let's try to just do what you know works, right? Or then after a few, you're like, no, you know what? I'm losing. Let me just try something new. Let me just try something out. Didn't matter what I did. Just boom. And you know what happened in good old game 14 after I'm on 13 big skulls in a row, right on my match list? You know what happens? He cheeses me. And I spot it. And he still kills me. I was like, ugh! So I went ahead and stopped, and I watched the movie Surrogates, which, as it turns out, is an awesome movie. That movie is actually really good. And I don't actually know... Well, let me rephrase that. I don't actually know if it's a good movie, but I just loved it. I thought it was awesome. Yeah, sci-fi stuff. I'm sure if I was with other people, I'd be embarrassed at certain scenes and would not want to admit that I was really enjoying myself. But Netflix, thanks. Didn't even have to open my door for 9 hours today. I just did a lot of losing. And you can't really explain that to anyone else. What'd you do on Tuesday? Lost. The TV show? No, not the TV show. So, anytime we're on a big losing streak, for me in particular, even outside of this one little window, I've noticed that I've been losing a lot of Zerg versus Terran, which is going to be the focus of today's daily. I think that my win rate in that is probably a little under 50%. And what you'll start to notice when you're losing a lot of games to a variety of strategies is that you'll have, crippling fear. Oh yeah, by the way, my glasses also broke for the millionth time before this daily, so I had to retape it, which is what made me a minute late. So if you're losing to a variety of things, what you'll probably notice is going on is that you just have fear. You just play the game and you just sit around really, really, really scared of what could be thrown at you without actually having a solid sense of it. Very simple example of a Zerg vs. Terran I had been playing. Actually, I think it was 3 or 4 days ago. I was really worried about the Reaper stuff. So I made way too many Zerglings at the start. And you heard me talk about in the daily, I realized that the Reapers actually take a while to actually get scary at the start. So cool, I don't actually need to worry about the Reapers. I understand the timing of it. And this happened several more times. Then today, I was so totally prepared for Reapers. I'd worked the kinks out of my anti-mass Reaper build. I was like, bring the Reapers on. Come on, let's do it. And then he just went for really fast factory. And I kind of went, I don't actually know what to do here. And I had this sudden crippling fear that he was going for mass Banshee. And then I saw that he was expanding, and then I made way too many Zerglings. He was going Hellions, and I made way too many Zerglings to try to deal with it. And as it turns out, he was just expanding. And it's all this sort of ickiness has been going on for me in this matchup. And I'm sure that for some of you, you hit a point where you're kind of lost in a matchup, as I feel a little bit lost in Zerg vs. Terran. So this is what I'm going to do today. I'm just going to go ahead and download a bunch of replays of someone who's really good, and just try to watch as many games in a row as I can of his Zerg vs. Terran. So let's go ahead and download a few of these. I try to download a lot of them without really thinking too much about it. I'm going to go ahead and let's get a game on Temple from this Zhang Minchul. I'm not going to try to be too selective. I just want to show you here. Yeah, see this? Like, here's my window. There's me testing to make sure I could save it to the correct directory. I'm just going to download a whole bunch of them. Fruit Seller, by the way, is OGS cool. He is really, 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 really good. Oh, Delta Quadrant I've been struggling on. Let's download a little bit of that action. Let's do Cool vs. Terran 3. I don't really use too many funky naming conventions. I'm going to scroll up to make sure you can actually see what things I'm downloading. The STC is really, really, really good, so I definitely want to get one of those games in there. Let's actually download both of those games. Metalopolis, Cool vs. Terran 4. And then we're going to do Cool vs. Terran 5 here on Metalopolis. Alright, cool. Or should I say, alright, neat. So that way you don't think that I'm somehow going to be playing against. I don't even remember what I was saying. I'm just too busy trying to rename this properly. Alright, sweet. So we have a couple of replays to watch. And what I'm going to do in these games is I'm going to watch exclusively from the Zerg player's point of view, because this tends to be quite revealing. I'm just going to get some key things of the opening out of the way. I don't actually need to cover up the replay bar because I don't really care. But, you know, that's where my logo goes. It's what makes me look fancy. We like that. So I'm already seeing that he is overlording on 10. I personally overlord on 9. I don't think this is going to be anything too different. And what I really, really am looking for personally right now is what the difference is between how he is responding at a certain time based upon what I would feel. And by that I mean, you know, like coming up, let's actually speed things up a little bit. I'm just staring straight at his stuff. I'm noticing this Overlord scouting pattern. Okay, he's going for the 14 gas, 13 pool. Now let's say at this stage of the game, let's actually speed it up a little bit. I'm going to actually look at the production tab. I'm trying to do some of the learning action. Let's say at this stage of the game, you start getting really scared of a bunker rush. Like, let's just say that's the thing that freaks you out a little bit. If that is so the case at this part in the game, let's just try to watch what Cool is doing. Again, Cool's name is Fruit Seller. That's the best way to look it up. Oh wow, I actually haven't seen this replay, but it is kind of funny that he is doing the bunker rushing. So I'm starting to notice little things. I'm actually going to turn all the health bars on because I currently do play with all the health bars on. Even though this might be a little bit unusual of an opening, I am still going to try to watch for as many little trends as I can. How does he end up blocking that off? And see, by the way, that's the one thing that really annoys me about the pathing. The Marine actually just shoves the drones right out of the way. It's not like in the original Brood War where it feels a little bit easier. This game, to me, looks like it's going to be kind of kooky. It looks like it's going to be kind of a funky game. But, oh, hey, there's something insane to me. That's something that really blows my mind. He is going for a Roach Warren instead of getting any of the other good jazz. Instead of getting, like, Spine Crawler, he's just kind of poking away. I guess he's just not overreacting to this. He's just going to kind of... Alright, well, it looks like he's just going to be doing whatever the hell he wants. I guess he's realizing that there aren't more Marines coming. We don't need to do some sort of crazy bust. Oh, wow. That was actually kind of cool to see. Looks like that one Reaper is going to be able to do a significant amount of damage. Now, this is a part where I personally am going to feel very lost, right? Ordinarily, I want to get my expansion up a little sooner. I got messed with. I really hate being messed with. I'm very curious to see how he's going to respond. And this is when I would probably switch over to what the opponent is doing. Oh, yeah, the Mass Reaper garbage. You know what? This is a game that I played probably a week and a half ago when I was really losing a lot to the Reapers, where I seriously, genuinely got bunker rushed and then lost to Mass Reapers. So I'm going to try to figure out some of these timings and the production. I see he is making some Zerglings, but it's mostly just drones and queens. And it looks like he's continuing to creep tumor it up. And he's not going for the expansion. That's interesting to me. So again, for any of you who just tuned in, I am struggling with Zerg vs. Terran as a matchup. So I'm just trying to watch a lot of Cool's replays to see what it is that he does. And he goes for the Infestation Pit and for the Burrow. Awesome. Cool. This is something that I've seen cats do that turns out to be quite effective. Because you can just lock stuff down very easily. And this might be something I might investigate, doing a little bit more of the very fast Infestation Pit action. I'm kind of curious how he's going to respond later on. This game is a bit unorthodox, and normally what I look for in these is how he's playing out the opening, but in this case I'm just kind of studying how he's playing out the response. I've kind of abandoned the subtlety when he's doing what at certain foods, but it's always good to say something like, you know, at around 50 food, what does the opponent have? A whole bunch of shit. I might end up just abandoning this replay. Make sure that you learn from the game what you want to learn. I would probably say this is a sweet game, more so than a useful learning tool. So I'm actually just going to quit it. Only ended up spending about 7 minutes on that, so I'm not concerned about that. So I'm going to go to my little daily folder and start watching just a series of the games that we downloaded. For some reason, I want to start with the last one first. Just because it's on Metalopolis, which is traditionally something I have had the struggle with. Let us see. Alright, cool. So I'm already noting that it's cross-position, so hopefully not too much kookiness goes on. So, again, I want to reiterate that in every one of these, I want to compare how I feel based upon his position. I want to compare that to what he's actually doing. Because I know how I would want to respond, and anytime he starts doing something really different, that's what I definitely want to know. Okay, cool, he's still just going for the very fast extractor. That's cool. That's good. That's good. I am familiar with this opening. Alright, looks like 13 pool, 13 gas. I would also like to state, just for the record, that tonight Idra's playing on GSL. Yeah, so I'm definitely staying up for that. I'd also like to note that HD Starcraft and Pain User have their own at Google Tech Talks, and you should check that out on YouTube. The Google Tech Talks, for any of you who are unfamiliar, has many of the most visionary minds, such as Bill Gates, Will Wright, HD Starcraft, and Pain User. You know, it doesn't quite sound right, but still, you should go check it out and support them, because we love the StarCraft community, and they are fine fellows indeed. Not quite saving up as much larva as I would note. I tend to save up kind of a good amount of larva for Zerglings. And there is one Zergling going down. He's already pulled all guys off gas. Okay, now I actually leave one guy in the gas geyser. So I can slowly build up enough to get a layer. That is of note that he is doing that. I'm actually going to pause and get my pillow, because I'm starting to feel the symptoms of carpal tunnel, which I do not like. Alright, so that's coming back. Now, I briefly just want to check things like, I've done this build 1,000,001 times, as have most people, and he's just making 4 Zerglings, and I'm going to open up the production, and he's expanding. And I just want to go over to the STC's base. Oh, he is doing that fast Reaper action. Great. And I just want to note that when I am at, let's see, if I'm the Zergy, right as I throw down my expansion, right as I throw that down at 20 food, that's when his first Reaper's finished. And he's not even anywhere close to finishing that Nitro Pack upgrade. And I'm way ahead with my speed Zerglings. So cool. Let's see, he's making Zerglings. And another very fast Queen. And at this point, I already start to feel uncomfortable. Once I see the Reaper, I start to kind of get a little bit, So I'm going to be perceptive as to what he's making. Wow, he's moving that Queen out all the way. That's... Oh, alright, neat. Alright, cool. What I'm seeing right here, and this is something that I never picked up with my own play, a lot of times what I would do is make these 4 Zerglings, and I would suicide to try to kill off this Reaper, or I would back off and I would just take some hits here. But instead, we see Cool just moving down with his Queen, and the Queen is really going to be the one taking the hits, and the Zergling's actually running away from the Reaper. Nice. I also am aware that Zergling speed is going to be finishing before the Reaper speed. So my second queen's coming out now. Spits the larva. Oops, big misstep there by STC. Big misstep. Now, I want to come over here and note what my opponent is doing. Oh, geez, he's expanding, like, immediately. And building a bunker. Oh, this is annoying. So, anytime you start seeing a variety of strategies, like in this game, what I'm seeing is an early expand by Terran. There's a lot of ways you can early expand that still feel early-ish. You can just do a straight-up 1 Rax early expand. You can go Command Center and then 2 Barracks. You can go 1 Rax Reaper into expand. You can do what Little One did in his GSL game, which is go 1 Rax, 1 Factory Hellion, and then expand. There's a lot of ways to do it. I tend to just lump it into an expansion because I don't want to overcomplicate my brain too early on. And this is actually a point in the game where I feel quite a bit confused as to how to when to get my expansion up, or excuse me, when to get my layer up. It looks like the Zergling's just doing some pretty decent damage, just checking out what's up. He sees an expansion, and most of the time you're not really going to do incredible damage. These Zerglings are really not doing anything amazing. That actually was killing off that command center was pretty phenomenal, but I just feel very uncomfortable as Zerg here. Very uncomfortable, because even though I have done damage, I only have 5 Zerglings left over. If he has 3 Reapers, he can kill those off and do a lot of damage. So I'm very curious. So it looks like he's getting relatively late, putting guys back into the gas. He's going to be doing some stuff with the Zerglings, but I'm very curious what's going on at home base. Now, this is something that just weirds me out. This is something that I'm very confused by. Just the fast Roach Warren and the fast Baneling Nest. Doesn't look like ST... Oh, actually, that's useful for me to know. If I see a command center really fast, he's just not going to have very much. I just told you here, I feel very uncomfortable. Because I've seen the Speed Reapers, I've seen all that, and then all of a sudden I look here, and I kind of get this... Oh, I guess he didn't really have anything kind of feeling. So if I suddenly see any stopping of pressure from any sort of Reaper stuff, yeah, I actually guess I do have a fairly big window, and it is okay for some Overlords to be spread out here. Still no layer. Wow. That's another thing that I personally am very lost in regards to, is when that layer ends up going down. When that layer ends up going down, because I need to know when to get detection, all that sort of stuff. I personally just have this incessant fear of cloaked Banshees. I should really try to figure out exactly how fast someone can get cloak, and then just sort of tuck that away in my pocket. So if I'm around 50 food, right around the time I'm getting this up, yeah, it looks like the reasonable sort of stuff coming out from STC. He's going ahead and getting an armory because he doesn't know if I'm hiding a spire. So I'm actually kind of thinking more about a general trend at this point. You know, this is stuff... Oh, yeah, I see what he's doing. This is the sort of thing that I've seen Cool do, this Zerg player, in a lot of his other replays. He just gets a Baneling Nest to suicide in and kill off workers. Because, as we can see, there's a lot of workers here, and they're a lot of times quite vulnerable. He does this on a lot of maps. Actually, that's just a trend I've picked up. So what I'm really viewing this Baneling Nest is just a little bit of harassment. Yes, he's just trying to do this sort of suiciding. I'm not going to think of it as like a transition into Banelings. But it looks like he is getting the Roach Warren for some sort of defense. Some sort of defensive roaches getting thrown up. Very gradually spreading his creep. And I'm intrigued by this very fast third hatch. It's kind of crazy to me how he's only had like 10 Zerglings or so, and yet up to like 60 food he has just made drones. And there's been very little that Taran can do about it. I'm going to stop this replay in a little bit, because I want to watch more games of his. Yep, there's the Hellion Harass. I just want to watch some more games, because I want to get a sense of the general pattern he follows in the opening. Go back to mine, go back to mine. But I want to wait till this layer finishes to really see what he's doing. I also really like this Overlord spread. This is fancy. I just have such fear of cloaked Banshees. I cannot tell you. It is just such a crippling, horrendous fear. It looks like once he gets that layer up, he just is getting the upgrade for that. He's getting the ventral sacs. Oh yeah, because another thing that I've seen Fruit Seller, aka Cool, do is he just likes getting baneling drops in worker lines. It can be very devastating. But I feel like I've learned a little bit, but it's not quite coagulating in my head. So I'm just going to keep loading up replays. Keep loading them up and keep noting the times. You know, it's kind of funny because this is really similar to what I do in my normal trying to learn to get better procedures. I really just, focus on what one player is doing and watch a lot of his games. So I'm only partially aware of what I'm saying right now. In fact, I'm doing a lot of, I feel like, mumbling as I'm trying to figure this out. Oh gosh, he's still doing that same opening. Okay, cool, because you know what? This is the opening that is most players are doing nowadays. Idra's been doing this a lot. Damaga's been doing this a lot. And I suppose I would want to try to do it a lot. What is our Terran buddy doing? Oh, was that no, it looks like a normally timed barracks. And it looks like just making a lot of drones. Okay, so I'm starting to see basic patterns. Like on a map like this, where the positions are a little bit farther spread out, he's more than willing to save, or to not save larva, and to just make a few extra Zerglings. He's also seen a fast factory, and then we see another very early extractor. That's kind of funky stuff. Oops, building a bunker there. That's one of those more annoying things. This is actually really intriguing to me, because he is going for the fast second queen, the fast second gas. He's really just admitting that he's not going to be expanding early. Fast Hellions coming out. There's the starport that, again, gives me such deep fear. A Roach Warren going up. Yeah, like, for instance, right here, I'm totally confused. Just completely confused. I guess what's going on here is he is going to be getting some sort of fast tech, either Mutalisks or Infestation Pit. Anytime I'm low on money, I personally tend to favor the Infestation Pit. And yeah, actually, now that I think of it, he's getting the Roach Warren because he kind of has to if he wants to be able to deal adequately with Hellions. There's the fast starport coming up. Hey, this is the traditional fear that the Day 9 has. And I'm starting to see that if you end up scouting the front, and you see a really fast factory and you're not even seeing the barracks make anything, I think that's a pretty reasonable time to do some sort of assumption that he's going to be going for Banshees with. That's what happens when we click on that window. Get to see me with this flying buttress just punching myself in the face in slow motion. Yeah, he is going for Banshees with Cloak. Great, because this is my fear. This is my lifelong, insane, incessant fear. Wow, gosh. Now, I just want to note something that why I went, wow, gosh. I've said so many times I am deeply, horrifically afraid of Banshees with Cloak. Every build, I'm going to have to rush to get some sort of layer up. And what am I noticing? This Terran did a pretty damn fast Banshee. I'm actually going to double check this to see exactly how fast he got it. And the Zerg did a lot of things that delayed that layer. Like a lot of stuff. So there is the... Oh, actually, gas before... no, there's the barracks right now. I was like, gas before barracks! Alright, no, he did something a little bit more usual. That gas geyser is generally very revealing if you see that, but I don't really know how you would. A lot of Zergs just like stealing the refinery just so they don't have to worry about cloaked Banshees. I'm trying to figure out ways to go about avoiding that, because if your whole gameplay is based around that and it gets blocked, you can feel pretty terrible. Wow, so the factory finished. And yeah, he did get that starport really quickly. Wow. Wow, that's good to know. Yeah, and see, there's the Queen going down, and then there's the Roach Warren still making units. Look at how delayed this layer is. I can conceive of if this didn't go down, and if this didn't go down, and even if the Zergling speed didn't go down, but I probably would want Zergling speed every time, we could still be getting an expansion and still getting this layer at about this pace. Wow, I guess I'm really just artificially terrified of the Banshees. Now, one thing to note, the tech lab does take about 25 seconds to build. As you can not see, as I minimize that. Yep, there's a 25-second build time. So, this Banshee could have eked itself out a little bit faster. Wow, still not trying to get an expansion. So, is that going to be morphed into an Overseer? I'm genuinely trying to find the Overseer. Okay, cool. I'm starting to notice a pattern. Anytime he is forced into one basing, it's just a very fast infestation pit. I've seen Slush do this a lot, but I'm starting to see the amount of comfort that we have here. We have this Overlord already ready to spot. We have a lot of creep tumors early because one queen has pretty much been devoted to creep tumoring. How long does an infestation pit take to build? That takes... oops, I'm not in the advanced menu. In the advanced menu, it takes 50 seconds to build. An infester, I tend to write these times down. Another 50 seconds to build. So if I go on to the everyone can... Yeah, I guess we can't get fungal growth fast enough. We really do need some kind of overseer in our base, but I don't mind just getting an overseer like by default and running in and trying to, you know, contaminate this. Looks like we could get the contaminate up in time. Ugh. And here comes the cloaked Banshee. Wounded soul. A lot of queens pouring out. Very, very, very delayed. Is he getting any speed here? No. Is he getting any upgrades here? No. Looks like he is just making a bunch of infestors. So, there, finally the Overseer gets done. This other queen's going to have to back up. I'm going to go back to the STC cam because I don't want to see anything on the minimap that would possibly distract me. Oh yeah, we can get the infestors to launch out some infested Terrans to help keep us alive. But that was pretty heavy loss. That was, wow, 17 drones and that's it. Ugh. So he's getting the burrow with the infestors. You know, and I've actually done this burrow infestor stuff, especially on Zelnaga Caverns, where we just have to wait so friggin' long to get from base to base, and I'm starting to think that maybe I can get away with doing this style of play on other maps, because the fungal growth really is good for locking down Terran armies. Hey, there's the good old contaminate. And you know, I'm starting to notice things that I don't traditionally think about when I'm playing. Like, if he is going Banshees, he probably doesn't have a lot of anti-air. So you can do things like run the Overseer right through his base and contaminate and preventing him from getting good sets of units out. You can do things like if you see a fast tech, you really just can get away with doing something like building a handful of roaches and getting some sort of very fast infestation pit. And here the infestors go. Burrow seems to almost be done. And I think he's okay. I keep forgetting that the infestors have the infested Terran spell. I mean, you can look at it at the time and be like, oh yeah, cool, I have infested Terrans. I can do things with these. But it's a little hard for me to make that leap of logic to go, okay, well, if I'm worried about cloaked Banshees, I can just get a very fast layer on one base and get infestors fast on one base and just lob out as many infested Terrans as I need. Here's the infestors advancing forward to do a little action. Now, again, at this point, I'm curious to see how he's going to do it. Looks like he's just droning and infestering. That seems to be how I would describe that. Uh-oh, here come the cloaked Banshees. He's just going to go ahead and advance forward. Where is his Overseer? I would actually claim that that is a touch sloppy. And, you know, I think that every single human being at this point in time feels very lost as Fruit Seller, aka Cool, in this spot. I'm actually curious how he's going to transition into the later parts of the game. I'm starting to get a sense of these timings that I was once very, very afraid of. Oh, jeez. Oh, that's kind of neat. But, of course, one tank is going to shut it all down. And the Cloaked Banshees are killing everything. And, oh, there's the good fungal growth. My learning kind of is hurting at this point in time, because I feel like this game is, like, super one-sided. And I'm going to go ahead and watch it out. I'm going to go ahead and continue to watch it out. I have yet more replays. And that's, I guess, the one issue with having a replay site be where you get your replays from, I would prefer to download like all the tournament games from Demaga. Because if you just download random games from Battle.net that people played against Demaga, what can potentially end up happening is that people who win against Demaga just go, oh, cool, here's a very cool game. I've been playing against Demaga. I think it was a really good game. And it turns out to be just a complete one-sided stomp. And I'm worried that this game will turn into that, but I'm still going to have some faith in Fruit Seller. I'm still going to have a little bit of faith. He just has a lot of burrowed infestors. Koreans have been very good about using their burrow. Oh, there's the speed upgrade for roaches. Roach infestor? Could that possibly be what he's doing? I don't know. He is spreading creep very adequately. Let us see here. So, even though this game looks a little bit one-sided, I'm starting to realize how slow I actually can get that layer. I can get that layer pretty damn friggin' slow and still be alright. Throwing down more fungal growths. There's the Banshees continuing to be as obnoxious as possible. I think you can get away with just having an Overseer. Being very, very watchful with it. I don't really like the idea of getting a whole... Oh, that sucks. I don't really like the idea of getting an Evo Chamber and throwing down a whole bunch of Spore Crawlers, though I'm starting to get tempted to do that kind of style. Just like always get a very fast upgrade. Like very, very fast Evolution Chamber. And if I, for some reason, think he's going Banshees, I just throw down a bunch of Spore Crawlers. I would need to throw down like 50 Spore Crawlers to cover my whole base because Banshees are annoying like that. But I'm still considering it. I should probably sit down with a buddy and practice that out. There's the Banshees being really annoying again. And I'm actually curious how long this game is going to last. Oh, it looks like Fruit Seller does end up losing really, really shortly here. Checking the resource counts. He's not that far behind. Still trying to do some cool stuff with the infestors. Uh-oh. Alright. Hey, I'm digging this. Oh, the ghost still trying to advance, charge forward. That's awesome. I want to see if he can actually do anything. Whether this is going to be a successful counterattack. Because the one thing that Fruit Seller, aka the Zerg that we are watching, does that's really, really good is he's very good at this counter-aggression. Terran has less than I thought. Zerg's doing quite a good amount of damage. I wonder where those infestors went. Getting locked down by that fungal growth again. Will he actually kill this off? That would blow my mind if he did. That would absolutely shock me. Wow, Infestor Roach. Weird composition that I do not apparently use enough in these situations where I'm feeling a little bit tight, I guess, or I'm feeling a little bit completely, totally behind. Oh, the Infestors are still there, still doing some awesome amount of damage. Oh, the fungal growth. No way, does Zerg end up winning this? That would be the sweetest thing I've ever seen. This is why you really should get an Overseer up there. Where did all the roaches go? Yeah, you can see these units, but you can't actually do damage to them, and it's like really hard to know when you can or can't do that. Looks like a very much so an almost hold. Now this looks a little bit one-sided, but I'm actually going to come back to around this point when this junk is going on. I'm going to go to the everyone camp, and I'm starting to realize he might be able to take this out. And whenever that happens, I can conclude that if those Banshees hadn't have done that super crazy harassment at the start, our Zerg superhero, Cool, would have been able to hold that off. So I'm starting to note these timings, and I'm just thinking if I be careful, I could be able to pull that off. I'm actually going to briefly watch one more. I'm hoping for a little bit more of a standard early game. I haven't yet found it. Oh, this is useful. This is a 7-minute game. I can watch this and watch another one. I really want to start getting some sense of some early game stuff, and I'm starting to get a sense of the late game stuff. And once I've done all of these, once I've watched through these replays, I actually, and this is probably going to be the most important part, is synthesizing all of it into something that will end up being useful. So he is continuing to overlord on 10. I am interested by this overlord on 10 business. Because most people are overlording on 9. There's a very fast gas. And the very fast pool. This replay is very short. I have removed my sweet banner. so that I may educate myself. He's getting the... Wow, he's not even... Whoa! Whoa! Oh. Did he see that early on? I actually sometimes get a little bit ahead of myself. Oh, he actually did see the very, very... Oh. Perhaps that's why he's not pulling guys out of gas? I want to see exactly what he saw. So he sees a barracks with the Overlord. I am briefly going to check what Terran did. If Terran did some sort of very fast racks, like some sort of 10 racks, 10 racks, 10 gas. Yep, there's the 10 racks, 10 gas. Okay. Okay. So I note that a 10 racks finishes at the time my spawning pool begins. So if my spawning pool is a little after started and I spot a barracks somehow, I know for a fact that this was a 10 racks. I know for a 100% fact that was a 10 racks. That's something that I would probably write down if I had a little more time. I might go over a little bit on this daily, but I'm still trying to do the learning. Cool, so I have an early game timing down. Now, you can actually extrapolate your timings quite a bit. What did I just say? If my spawning pool is a little bit after started and I see his barracks is done, that's a 10 racks. If for some reason my spawning pool is a little bit started and his barracks is not even close to finishing yet, I know it's not a 10 racks. That's really, really friggin' useful information. Sometimes people try to say, okay, here's the timing for 10 racks. Now I need to go find the timing for a 12 racks after depot. Sure, you could do that, or you could just say 10 racks, not 10 racks. I like to group things together into big categories. I'm actually going to have a relatively long monologue after this, so probably about a 3 to 5 minute little monologue post this daily. Oh gosh, and he's getting the extremely fast speed as well. Wow. Okay, so how does Zerg respond? So he saw it right when his pool started and just knew what he was going to be up against. So he is getting the Zergling speed and the roaches extremely fast. Oh, here comes the really fast Reaper. I love the fact that he tried to kill off that SCV first, and then he's hiding the Zerglings. He's hiding the Zerglings, waiting for that queen to spawn. Vomiting the larva. Going to the production, you should have an Overlord in the queue. Yep, there's another Overlord popping up. Reaper's really not going to do too much damage at all. How does he respond to this? Because does he make a few roaches and then go back to all Zerglings? What's his plan? Because I know with this sort of play you end up being quite broke on the money front. Continues to vomit, and then he makes a lot of roaches, and he pulls guys off gas. Wow. And it's really this queen that's just keeping things alive. Queens and the Zergling. You can't really be too aggressive with two Reapers. If you try to stop and shoot a little too much, you'll end up getting hit. Is this guy actually trying to save up for command center? Oh, there's the misclick. And then here come the Zerglings to surround. And what I'm looking for right here is that, looking at this replay time, I would imagine that there's some sort of counterattack and immediate win. But I'm especially looking to see how does Zerg respond here. Does he get a second queen? Is he just going to straight up expand? He just gets all drones. Yeah, he does end up killing off another Reaper, I would imagine. Yep, kills that one off. Trying to make some Marauders. Here come the Zerglings to just rip these down. But I'm actually just going to watch over here. Because, I think anyone would probably go for this, but he does expand. Does he go for a second queen? I think it's clear who ends up winning this game, so I don't actually care anymore. Well, I guess he's slipping behind on his macro a little bit. I'm going to speed this up gently. Oh, gosh, he makes more Zerglings. Is that really necessary? It will guarantee the kill, but I guess that's cool. Watching one more. This is the last game I'm going to be watching today. Yeah, let's watch a temple one. I'm hoping this game is standard. Or perhaps everyone cheeses Zerg and you just have to be good at one basing. I see now another advantage of that very fast Zergling speed build. What? Alright, that's a Protoss player. Woo-ha! Alright, not watching that one. And this is the game on that map. I think... Yeah, that's the Terran vs. Protoss. Damn. Did I not download another one? I could have sworn I downloaded another one. I actually am going to download another one, damn it. I want to try to figure out more stuff. Because again, this is day 9 being selfish and trying to figure out good openings. I'm going to download this one on Xel'Naga Caverns. Cool versus Terran 6. I messed up my naming convention. That's fine. And loading it up. Trying to get a good sense of a normal-ish early game opening. I'm starting to see more and more and more. If I download a lot of these replays, and I'm seeing that a tip-top Zerg is really not getting this expansion up anytime soon, you'll note that in my in the first game we saw, I was like, I'm ending this early because I want to see more of how to get an expansion up. Now I'm starting to really question if my transition was actually a good one. It takes a lot of games to actually establish good control points. Like, it really takes a ton of games. That's why I like watching one player a lot, like 10, 15 games straight. I mean, it's 7:46 right now. I'm probably going to be watching these till 8:30 or 9, just trying to work out a good sense of how this matchup works. And I'll talk extensively about that after this game finishes up. But hey, at last, here is a hatchery going down. I'm still going to see if there's ways that I can link it up to the other games, because you'll slowly realize that there are a lot of patterns that you can sort of glean. Alright, when does he end up throwing down that pool? I really would love a replay pack of Idra. I would really friggin' love that, because that guy just has the most refined play. Maybe I'll just go Google for one. Wow, very late gas. Extremely late gas. Hasn't even taken it yet. Is he going to get walled off? That's a very common opening, the good old wall off. I too need to practice not losing this Overlord. And it looks like he's building that after he starts his 2 queens. Does lose that Overlord, that sucks. And you know what, this is the situation I end up in a lot, because I am an early expander. This is going to be a very useful game for me. Oh, I'm going to cover up the overlay so we can't see anything. Ooh. So this is exactly the spot that I end up in, like, all the friggin' time. All the time. Oh, great! And it's a tech opening. Oh, fantastic. Is he going to layer? Is he going to Zergling speed immediately? Still Zergling speeds. I really hope that STC is, like, gonna go for fast Banshee, because I just want to know. I just want to know. I'm actually just gonna pause and do a little calculation action. So, how long ago did this factory finish? I think it only just finished, like, a second ago. Coming back here. So if I hit, like, right now, I'm going to see... So, this is when I start doing my calculations. So, Starport takes 50 seconds to build. Banshees takes 60 seconds to build. And I forgot how long Cloak takes. So, I would probably imagine it would be a minute after that. I start doing some calculating. So, if I'm at... So, right when I'm at 23 food, he could actually be starting to get a Banshee. Could actually be starting to get that. It takes 80 seconds to make a layer. So... Yeah, I could actually probably wait a significant amount of time. How long is Zergling speed? 110 seconds. I guess when Zergling speed's about halfway done, I can start getting a layer. And that timing ends up being okay. I think that's accurate. I think that's something that I'm going to claim is true. I'm going to assert that my Zergling speed, if it is halfway done, that's the time that I need to start getting a layer, or else I will lose to Cloaked Banshees. That is just a little calculation I did, decided that it was true without really thinking too much about it, and that is what I'm sticking with. So if I do end up doing some sort of early expand, I just go for the Zergling speed first, go for the hatch right away. Alright, hey, I'm starting to feel good, I'm starting to feel happy. So, at this point in time, this is another spot where I feel very uncomfortable. I just convinced myself that my opponent could be doing anything. He has 1,000,001 possibilities before him, all of which smash me. So I'm going to see how he ends up responding a little bit once he sees that this expansion is coming up. He's moving out with just a small amount of Zerglings. He's going to... I would imagine he's checking for the expansion. Alright, cool. He sees it's an expansion. Gases. I guess I'm basically realizing that I just tried to do a little too much too fast. And the end result is that I just have no drones. I actually even think that I could squeeze another queen out of this and begin creeping up a little bit more. Gearing up to take a third in a moment. But the layer finishes now. How does he transition? Does he end up getting a spire? That's what most people are doing, but I kind of just want to not do that these days. Get an infestation pit. That would be so cool of you. Nope, gets a spire. Spire and Roach Warren at the same time. Okay, now I am super friggin' damn interested in how he's gonna play this one off. I am so interested because I, like every Zerg player on the planet, gets Mutalisks, fist pumps, and then there's a Thor, and I go, cool, I guess I'm not making Mutalisks anymore. Idra sure developed his fancy control that allows him to micro very well against the Thors. Still want to see the way he's going to respond, even after getting a little bit harassed here in an obnoxious fashion. Looks like he just pulls back very, very safely, very comfortably. And you know, this is honestly another issue I was having in this matchup. I was getting to a point where, I don't know if this happens to you, where there's like 3 early game things that mess with you a lot. You know, like let's say you had a lot of trouble with Reapers, you had a lot of trouble with Cloaked Banshees, you had a lot of problems with Hellion Harass. And those are the things that you had problems with. Now, you might get to a point where you're really safe. Or let's say he does a little Hellion Harass and it doesn't work and he just backs off. Or he does the Reaper stuff and it doesn't work and he backs off. You get this feeling of, yeah, oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And that's a huge struggle that I have been having, is figuring out what the fuck I want to do next. Arrgh. So he does get the Mutalisk. He doesn't try to do any, like, fakey. Moving in with a couple of Zerglings to do some harassment. He sees the barracks going down. And even if he loses this game, I'm still going to kind of assume he knows what he's doing. I don't see any speed going down. He gets the Mutalisk out, and then he's probably going to make just a hell of a lot more drones. But, I mean, little things like this, a Baneling Nest. I wouldn't have done that. Would not have gotten a Baneling Nest. I get my mutas, start to do some harassment, and then blindly get a Baneling Nest. Yeah, I do note that our good friend Cool, this Zerg player, does like doing a little harassment with the Banelings down there, and that could potentially be pretty cool. But, oh, he's just getting the speed upgrades really, really quickly, and he's expanding forward. And is he still making drones? Some drones. He's getting an infestation pit. He's seen something mech-like. Now, I like to pause at a spot like this, because this is where I'm starting to get increasingly kind of, you know, I mean, all these pokes haven't really done any damage. None of these have really done anything. There was a Mutalisk that got up here. Now I like to flip sides and just check on what my Terran buddy has. Already has a Thor, Whoa! He has so much less than I would have thought. He has way less than I would have thought. Oh my gosh, I actually want to go to the unit count. 2 Thors, 7 Marines, and 5 Hellions. What the hell? Oh my god. I just had an epiphany. You know how many Hellions were up here harassing and doing all this junk? For every Hellion that harasses you, that is a huge amount of time that you just don't have to worry about making a lot of units. That really means that you can drone up, that you can get a lot more upgrades, all that sort of good stuff. Holy crap, yeah, because, I mean, I just looked there and saw that there were just no units. There were just none at all, so I'm kind of just going, oh, okay, well, therefore, I guess just make a lot more drones than I thought I could. And here comes the very fruit seller-esque move. Reopening that production tab, still a lot of drones being made, a lot of Banelings being made. Yeah, I guess I just undervalue just getting some Banelings. Hellions trying to move out. Doom, doo, doo, doom, boom, boom, doom, doom, doom. Bam! Alright, that was cool. Some infestors coming out now. Skipping the roaches. Okay, I would have been massing roaches here. I guess that's something I should consider not doing. I guess I would have started massing up roaches already because I would have been super scared of his doom push that consists of... God, still just not that much. And these Thors are a little frightening. The fact that he... He's getting neural parasite? No, nothing fancy. Looks like some banelings. Still getting that burrow. Hey, I'm starting to get a cool sense of the way things can transition up. I really strongly dislike this position Zerg is in still, kind of. I guess there are a lot of infestors. No, you know what? I am going to wash this out. I was going to end this, but I personally am trying to figure this matchup out. So I'm going to share my synthesized thoughts at the end. A lot of banelings. There's that consistent grabbing of burrow in every single game. And the Hydra Den. Now, Hydras are expensive. I can conceive of saying I will get Hydras once I have 3 bases. More of this stuff. This is just awesome. And what mildly concerns me about this is that this is really just working now, and maybe it might not work if players are just expecting it more in the future. And there's the more awesomeness. I like fungal growthing, and then casting these and then fungal growthing. Yeah, you feel very powerful. I'm checking the resources. Wow. I really think that Zerg should start expanding a little bit more here. Been cool if there were some Zerglings over here running in for the counterattack. I think we could do some more cool, fancy things with Zerglings. Infestors hiding. Scan, get fungal growth. I think this game's really long. Yeah, it's about 30 minutes, so I'm probably going to wrap up a little bit soon, but it's just so opaque to me what I'm supposed to be doing at these later periods. Yeah, oh yeah, I've actually seen this game before. It's kind of funny when you watch it from just one player's perspective. I mean, this definitely looked familiar, but this is the tank line that I really remember from this game. I just don't really know how to play out these later stages, but either way, so this is what I'm starting to learn. This is really the stuff that I am beginning to learn. So I am learning a handful of early timings. I learned that the pool right when it starts is right when the 10 racks finishes. So if I see that, I can respond appropriately. I learned that I can probably begin getting my lair quite late if I early expand. So if I early expand, make 2 queens and gas right after I've started my 2 queens. And then I get Zergling speed first. When my lair's about halfway done, I can actually then start to get the lair and probably be okay in the queen front. If I really see, in the Banshee front, if I really see absolutely no units at the front, I could probably assume he's going for some sort of crazy Giga Banshee action. But in those circumstances, I should just be droning and queening. So that's the timings I've learned. Other things I'm learning, getting a roach warren and just getting 3 or so roaches and then going back to powering. That can happen around, kind of depends on what he's doing. I'd probably say after you've seen a factory, you just get the roach warren and just toss out a few roaches. What are some other things that I'm seeing? If you're ever really, really screwed on getting a second base, you can just get the infestation pit, which is, I guess, a sensible transition now that I think about it, but would not have been something that I'm starting that I would have done earlier on. So, all in all, I'm starting to develop this game plan. I would need to sit down and really probably write out everything. I would really need to write it all out, but I'm noticing general trends of if you see an early expansion, he gets a Baneling Nest to do a little bit of harassment, but then mainly is droning, and I didn't see any evolution chambers for upgrades. Would have liked to see those. Okay, so this is my game plan. Assuming I want to do this really fast Zergling speed build. if for some reason I see a lot of really fast tech or I can't get the expansion, we do what we saw him do in the first game, which is get that really fast lair and get the really fast infestation pit. In the mid-game, I want to be getting a relatively reasonably early Roach Warren, but still largely making drones and trying to get away with as many drones and queens as I can, and maybe getting 2 or so roaches to block off paths. Don't really need to do too much else. The longer I don't see an expansion, I actually might start favoring getting an early Baneling nest in that circumstance. I'm trying to base most of my decisions off one key thing. There's 3 key things that I'm noticing is the difference between all these games. One is you see an early expansion or not. I want to see that at the front. He's teching and you don't see a lot of units. If he's teching and you don't see a lot of units, I'm going to drone like crazy. I'm going to get a Roach Warren fast, and I'm going to get that lair pretty fast for those Overseers. I'm also going to get a 3rd Queen pretty fast. If I see a decent amount of units getting made, and he's teching, I'm just not going to get my lair that soon. I really don't see a super huge need to get my lair very fast at all. If he's like trying to do some sort of techie pushing build. I hope you're starting to see how... oh yeah, by the way, post your questions. Yeah, you're starting to see how I'm trying to gently fashion a game plan around what I've seen in these games. Like, for instance, probably the best example, because I actually watched, I think, 20 of Fruit Seller's Zerg vs. Protoss, and what I was really seeing a lot in those games was a relatively late layer. If he saw an expansion going down, it was a very late layer, and he would almost immediately get a +1 carapace upgrade. Very fast carapace upgrade and a very fast 3rd. And lots of drones. A hell of a lot of drones. Still getting Zergling speed pretty fast, but a hell of a lot of drones, 3 bases, and a fast upgrade. Whoa! I would not have done that myself. I probably would have been 2 basing and powering hard and thinking I was being fancy, but he 3 bases really friggin' early when he sees the expansion. When he doesn't see the expansion, he ends up still relying a lot on Zerglings and Roaches at the start. Those seem to be the big core units that he's going for. And he does do that Baneling harass stuff when he's up against an early expander. And honestly, look, I just want to state those 2 huge ideas together. If you see an expansion, get a very, very late layer, 3 expansions fast, a very fast carapace upgrade, and make a lot of drones. And if he doesn't see an expansion, and by doesn't see an expansion, I mean like 3 warp gate and there's still no expansion, he is just sticking to 2 bases, a lot of Ling Roach, but waiting as long as he can before he has to start making a lot of Roaches. Actually, the Roaches are probably the big thing that he is making early on. But just a lot of Ling Roach and a lot of creeping against a seemingly perpetual 1 basing player. And you know what? Those 2 things were enough for me to feel way more comfortable. This is what I do against your general 1 basing player. This is what I do against your general early expanding player. Just a framework. Zerglings and Roaches. And sure, I would kind of improv it at the time, but I always had a sense of what the hell I was trying to do, and it was so relieving. And in this case, when I see that the way that he's responding to teching players is just to get a good amount of Zerglings with speed and then just drone really hard and layer kind of late and then Roach Warren kind of early. That's so helpful for me to see and to get a good sense of it. So I'm going to take some questions. Let's see. I don't understand what that question even means. Alright, so this is an amazing question by Blue Blur, who says, Dear Thoughthammer, sometimes I go on a big losing streaks, and then I doubt that my strategies work. How do you counter getting into that mindset? So I actually keep a list of the strategies that I've been losing to, and I tend to be pretty damn resilient. I tend not to change my strategies. I really try to hammer it out to try to make it work. So let's say a few dailies ago, we did a Terran versus Terran where we saw a player do a big amount of Marines and early expand. And it ended up failing, but let's say he did get the expansion up, and he was losing a lot to Banshees. Like a lot to Banshees. If I were in that spot, I would probably keep trying to do it, try to figure out some ways to deal with the Banshees, try to figure that out. And if I was really having a hard time with it, I would write it down on my list of stuff I want to practice with a practice buddy, and I would go get my friend Tristan, and I would say, Tristan, could you just blindly rush for Banshees every game and try to do as much damage as you can? Just do it like literally under the assumption I'm not going to attack you, don't even scout me, do it as well as you can, and let's just practice this a lot of times in a row. Or let's say I'm losing to bunker rushes a lot. I would say, Tristan, I need you to bunker rush me again and again and again and again. So a lot of what helps me with the whole strategy doubt. So that's an example of trying to improve your strategy. Like, don't give up on it. But if I'm having a lot of doubt with my strategies, I save all my losses. I keep doing it. I save the losses, and then I literally wait like an hour, and then I go back and watch my replays. Or I'll play like for 4 hours, and I'll save all the games, and then at the end, I'll go review all of them. And what you'll start to see is that you can get yourself into a pretty big mental rut. And if you rewatch the games, you kind of go, oh, I was fine. Oh, geez, yeah, I guess the reason I lost that is because I was not positioning my stuff well. Oh, I guess the reason I lost this because I wasn't doing that weird thing very well. And really taking the time to rewatch your replays long after the fact. And you can even do it kind of like this style, where we just look at the Zerg's point of view. You can watch your own game, be like, okay, at this point, I was pretty sure he had this big of an army. Like, you know, if you're at this point, you say, I'm pretty sure he has 6 tanks, 2 Thors, and about 20 Marines. And he has, 3 tanks. He has 1 Thor. Oh, he has a lot fewer Marauders. And you kind of go, oh, hey, maybe I can end up breaking that. Because this is what happened to me in Brood War in my Zerg vs. Terran. I was just so scared of his army. I would keep backing up and backing up and backing up and losing a few units and losing a few units and losing a few units. And then I'd finally be like, ugh, and I would attack and I'd lose everything and I'd go, oh, God, Terran's impossible. And then I'd rewatch it and just go, I shouldn't have backed up once. I should have just crushed this. And then you start getting a good sense of what's going on. In like a lot of strategies, that gross feeling of doubt is actually the way that RTS games pretty much will always feel when you're at really high levels of play, where everything just feels so thin and so fragile. You just kind of got to keep working at it until you get this sense of until you get a sense of how possibly big his army can be at this point. Because you heard me say just a second ago, wow, cool, actually gets a really fast +1 carapace and takes a 3rd really fast. Oh, how does he do that against an early expander? And then when I'd rewatch, I would go, wow, the Protoss just actually doesn't have anything. No wonder he can get away with this, because he obviously can get away with this. Nice! And that can only really happen if you review your replays a lot. Review your friggin' replays. Review your friggin' replays. Now, I will say, this daily didn't quite go the way I would have liked it. Because again, this is a selfish daily. This is me going, I want to figure out this matchup. So I just downloaded a bunch of games from a popular replay site, not a sort of amassing replay site, just a popular friggin' replay site. So we didn't see a lot of repetition. We saw a lot of cool, fancy, crazy stuff, because on popular replay sites, those are the replays that get uploaded, the ones that are fun to watch. So you know what? I'm actually probably going to do the exact same thing tomorrow, more Zerg vs. Terran, but I'm going to download only Damaga's games from like his tournaments, because that's where people are really doing a lot of repetition in their strategies, and I really want to get a sense of how he ends up doing it. Because this was more of general senses of variety situations, but I want some friggin' damn specifics. Let's see here. I'm going to take one more question, because this has been a very, very long daily. People are asking about things that just don't have a damn thing to do with this. Woo! Okay, here we go. So, Varia says, hey, Day 9, Terran seems to have so much more openings than Zerg. Does this mean the general game plans can decide a game already, or can the Zerg really adapt to everything Terran is doing early on? I would argue, yeah, that Zerg should be able to deal with this. I want to talk a little bit about Zerg vs. Terran in StarCraft 1. There are... I would genuinely say that in Brood War, Zerg doesn't have a terribly huge amount of decisions for 6 minutes. 6 to 7 minutes. Against Terran, you early expand, and there's really one of two choices you're going to do. Am I going to go 3 hatch and then get a layer, or am I going to go 2 hatch and then get a layer? That's about it. That's about it. In the mid-game, you start having more interesting decisions, like do I want to go Lurker Ling and then get +1 Carapace? Do I want to get 2 Evolution Chambers? Do I want to get 1 Evolution Chamber? Do I want to get Overlord Speed or not? Do I want to get drops or not? At the early days of Brood Wars, it felt like they had tons of openings, but over time, people really have discovered that, you know, you're 2 hatching into layer or 3 hatching into layer. Period. That's like what you're doing. But the way that you would respond to the variety of Terran openings was very stable. You would do little tweaks here and there, but it was very, very, very stable sort of responses, and it was big, more groupings. Like, I'm just going to list out Brood War, some Terran openings. 2 barracks, fast Medic Marine into expansion. 3 barracks, fast +1 attack upgrade into just big mass aggression. He could go 2 Port Wraith. He could go 2 Factory Vulture Harass into expand. He could just do the regular 1 Barracks expand. He could do 2 Factory Tank Vulture Pushing, which is actually really obnoxious. He could go for just a weird, funky, fast Vessel on 1 base. He could do the fantasy style of getting very fast Valkyries after an early expand. There's a ton of damn openings. But we can actually group these into huge chunks and deal with those individually. And this is kind of what I'm trying to do with my mindset here in StarCraft 2. Like, for me in Brood War, there's the early expand-ish strategies. Or there's, like, the pure early expand strategies, which I kind of have in that. And in the pure early expand, I call it that because he's expanding and he's really trying to defend. Then there is the aggressive ground-based stuff. And for those, I'm not really going to be taking a 3rd base very fast. And that would include 2 barracks into fast-sized vessel, 3 barracks with a +1 attack upgrade aggression, any sort of fast tank pushing. I would group all that together. And then there's the fast tech builds, which would be the 2 Port Wraith build, the 1 Port Wraith build, the 2 factory tank push, the 1 factory tank push, and that whole group together, I'd actually respond by getting very fast Hydralists. I would group those all together, and the fast Hydralists would deal with those reasonably well. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to, like, start grouping all this stuff together in ways so I can say, okay, if he's doing any harassy-ish opening, I'm going to just get the roach speed early on, and I'm going to try to spread my creep a lot. If he's doing some sort of big aggression strategy, which would be like Marines and tanks, I'm going to do this thing. Maybe I want to get a fast Baneling nest. I don't know. I'm still trying to sort it out. I still want to kind of group these things together. But I think the problem is that people are having trouble grouping them because they're saying, against Reapers, I want to do this thing, and against Hellions, I want to do this thing, and these 2 things are totally different. But is it possible to do one thing that deals with both of them well? Because then you need less information. You need to just say, if he's doing something Reaper-like or something Hellion-like, I just do this. Cool. Done. I want to do more grouping stuff, so I'm actually going to do the exact same daily that I did today. I'm going to do it tomorrow, but I'm going to use Dimaga's games instead. So that's going to wrap up the daily. Sorry it was a little long. I hope none of you mind, but I really, really, really kind of need to figure this matchup out, so I quit hating myself on the ladder. Now I got to go record a podcast and eat some yogurt. And once again, you should go check out HD Starcraft and Pain User had a Google Tech Talk. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. I'm signing out. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.